All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Policy Committee meeting on this February 14th, 2022, and a very happy Valentine's Day to everyone. Our board chair, Rebecca Marley, will be joining us shortly, but I will get our meeting underway and begin with acknowledging that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and the St'át'imc nations. We have a recommendation, and is there someone prepared to make that recommendation?
That the agenda of the meeting be approved.
And a seconder? Thank you, April. All right, that's great. And we have a set of minutes that we have a recommendation for those.
That the minutes of the policy committee meeting held on January 17th, 2024 be adopted.
Thank you, Celeste, and seconded by April. Thank you so much. That brings us to all in favor of the adoption of those minutes? Yes, yes, thank you. Seeing no objections, we'll call that passed. Moving on to trustee items. I see nothing there.
Could I actually please raise my hand for that bit?
Yeah, sure. Celeste, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just had one more thing, and my apologies about the lack of video. I'm just trying to get my computer online. The one thing that I wanted to ask for a trustee item within policy is to be added to the agenda of a future meeting. Possible development of policy for our employees to take leave to serve in public office. So I'd just like to add the request this to be an agenda item for the future so that the board can discuss the potential to develop policy around that particular issue.
And now a second.
Yep, thank you. I've noted.
Okay, terrific. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Celeste. I should ask, is there anything else? That brings us to item number 5, information items. And we have Danielle Halberstock speaking to the 5-year policy review schedule.
Yeah, so that's just more there for reference. The only change in this document is we've moved up the permanent school closure. I think it was supposed to be later on in the year, and because we were already the school student code of conduct, we moved that one up as well.
Great.
That's the only change.
Okay, anything else on that? Seeing none, we will move to item number 6, discussion items. And our first item is item A, policy 503, district student code of conduct. And Mr. Lorette, you're up.
Okay, thank you. So my apologies, we had, the board had identified a number of technical issues with this policy at our last meeting, sort of punctuation and things, and we thought we had those all fixed, and no, it's okay. And one of the I guess the wrong version made it to you Friday, so our apologies for that. I think they've all been taken care of. But the more significant item is that there was a request that we add a piece here regarding how students can report concerns regarding the code of conduct. So we did add that in. So now that is item 14, how to seek assistance. And certainly we'll take feedback on that, but otherwise that's the change or the update to this particular policy.
Hey, thank you very much. Paul, are there any comments or questions? Celeste, go ahead.
Try now? Okay, so thank you so much for your work on this policy, Paul. My only comment was on the added section 14, and I wondered about, first of all, if it's left as is, saying students and parents or guardians who may have questions about the particular policy. But the other thing that I think would be even better is referring to our policy on navigating district concerns, because really any concerns should likely be handled in the same manner as concerns about code of conduct or anything. So I wonder if consideration could be given to referencing that right there.
That's a great suggestion. So we could just add something at the end. Please, like a link to the.
Link it, yeah.
We can easily do that.
The policy and then the flow chart, which is just so helpful. I refer people to that
Yep,
document all
no,
the time.
That's great.
I'll just mention, I like that idea because it bookends that nicely. We do reference that in the beginning of the code of conduct because it's specific to students, but then it says, again, that final sentence, district expectations regarding conduct of adults is referenced in and also references the concerns. However, having it also at the end, once you've read through it and we've spoken about the student, actually like that bookends it quite nicely. I mean, anywhere we can reinforce things more than once, I think it's a positive thing.
Sometimes you have to say things a lot of times.
Yeah, so just to be clear, did you say you're suggesting that we add parents and guardians in terms of the language, or just a reminder that if anyone has concerns regarding are you suggesting it should be specifically parents and guardians?
When I had first read it, and it could be that I'm wrong, but what stood out to me was that it only was speaking to students.
Right.
And I wonder if it could be speaking to anybody. So it could say students and
Yeah,
parents
or parents,
slash guardians
Perfect.
kind of thing, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Celeste. That's a really great suggestion. Is there anything else at this point? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to policy 803, permanent school closures. And that is Mr. Nicholson and Mr. Curry.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just for any members of the public, there's just some wider talk around when we're going to put or when the policy committee will be asked to recommend these to go forward to the board for approval. And we'll do that at the end with both of them if they're both ready to go.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds great.
Thank you. So thank you. I'll speak to this one. So again, this was a policy that was up for review next month, but originally we weren't going to have policy meeting, but since we were bringing back district, we thought again, let's add another policy just to make it more worthwhile. So the existing policy was itself amended in 2020, but I think it was more of a quick sort of amalgamation of some earlier policies and other best practices. And I just took the liberty of again framing it hopefully a little clearer with a little more flow and in the same manner of numbering and whatnot that we've done in the past. So the gist of the policy doesn't change, but I'm hoping clarity around its presentation and in the order makes sense. And I think for the record, and maybe we'll ask Trustee to perhaps say this at the open as well. This is not being considered. This is simply on the review cycle, because I think when people hear this term, they worry, say, "Oh gosh, are they getting ready to do something?" And I can just give everybody assurance that at this point in time, we are not. This is simply review, and it's just about school closure, permanent school closure, as it says, with hopefully the caveats listed in the second part of the first paragraph, that the policy does not apply when we're temporarily closing, which will have to happen from time to time for renovations, expansions, etc., as required. So I'll leave it there and open it up, and happy to take any feedback to make this clear for the public.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Chris. Any comments or questions? Celeste?
Yeah, so I tried to read this from the lens of if we were in that sort of situation. As Chris said, we're not. Our district has been growing and perhaps has flattened out, but we're not in a position where we need to be considering this. But good to review it with the lens that in the future, if this ever were to be the reality for our district, that we'd be prepared to manage it in a way that is sort of prescribed already. My only few comments on this one were for 3.31. In the little bit of blue text that's been added, I think the word "be" is missing, but not be limited to. I don't know if that makes sense. Perhaps it doesn't. Anyway, the other thing that I wanted to say was on 4.5. Okay. I wonder if this has changed.
It may have,
Okay.
again, we apologize,
It's okay.
both of the earlier versions, not the ones with the full changes, were on the agenda, so we did make those adjustments today, so our apologies for confusion.
No problem. I
think they're
found
Rectified.
it. So it's just underneath 4.5. So the sentence that says the final decision of the board on a permanent school closure shall be made by giving the first, second, and third reading of a bylaw at a public board meeting. Now, when we are reading bylaws, generally these things are not done in a single day. And this makes it sound, we can, if we have a motion to do all readings in a single day, but especially for something like this, I think that readings need to be done on different days because the whole purpose of that is to allow for thought and consideration over time to be given to, and this is a heavy issue. So if that sentence could please be changed to make it the default that they would be done on different days, unless as per our policy where there is a motion to, like for the budget bylaws, we usually have to because there's a rush. But for something like this, I think thought needs to be given over a period of time.
Absolutely agreed, and that was the intent of the sentence, but I can absolutely see how it sounds like you're giving first, second, third at one meeting, and it's not clear that it would be over the course of. So yes, that's an easy adjustment to make, and I appreciate that one. Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Anyone online? I see no, I don't think so. I have one thing that I was curious about. It's 3.3.2. It says that we provide adequate opportunity for affected people to submit their written response. I'm wondering if there's any value in adding a sentence there that would explain the process of how one would go about submitting that.
So that is meant to be covered in 3.2. Again, it's a 60-day public consultative process. And then we ensure there's a process for this. So before we were to embark on that, we would have all that clarified. So this is why this sits sort of at the board level, and then we'd have to ensure that we were going through a clear process, but we wouldn't necessarily spell all that out.
Okay.
Policy. Thank you for the question. I did reference numerous other districts and best practice and what they've done in the past, and sort of follows a similar template to allow for any of those kind of changes you may need to make in order to ensure that you're getting the feedback you're looking for.
Okay.
Metro districts may be different from rural districts in terms of how some say you have to have people in person. I don't think we would want to do that. We want to allow as much access as possible.
Yeah.
So I think the details we would want to source out when we get engaged and if we ever get engaged in the process.
Okay, that was the other part of the question. I was curious of if it's just such a situation that each particular closure or potential closure is so unique and individual that you would want to have it to prescribe. So that makes sense. Okay, that's great. That sits well with me. Anything else? Okay, seeing nothing at this time, let me just sneak back to the right screen. All right. Is everyone comfortable if we made a recommendation then to bring policy number 503 and 803 to our public board meeting for approval with the suggestions that are given, or do you think it's too early to bring them both at this time?
I'd be prepared to make the recommendation.
Oh, yeah, yes, Celeste, April, yes, and online, Melissa and Lisa, are you feeling comfortable with that? Yes? Okay. And.
I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
thanks.
so-
If you could make that motion, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm
Or
I'm
did
also
you-
online.
Oh, who's that?
Rachel.
Oh, Rachel, hi, I can't even see you. Your light is coming in from the back and so I can't see you.
And
Thanks for speaking up, Rachel.
hello.
Okay, so I'll
I'm-
just go
I'm-
ahead. That the policy committee recommend the Board of Education approve policy 503, district student code of conduct, and policy 803, permanent school closure with changes as discussed.
Thank you, Celeste. Is there someone to second? April, thank you very much. All in favor? Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion is passed. With that, we come down to item number 8, which is questions of clarification from the public. I'll give Danielle a second to check.
Okay, just let me peek. There is a question, but it's.
All right, let's give Danielle 1 second to check on the question. As a reminder, all the questions do have to be related to items that are on the agenda. And so we'll just make sure that that is applicable in this situation.
It's not applicable to the agenda.
Would you like to
Just take a look.
Would you like some time and then reply when you're able to give a
Yeah, I'll have
fulsome
to take a
answer?
look at it. It's not related to. I mean. Well, it's kind of related. But later. So. It's not for this meeting.
Okay, well, perhaps we'll leave you with that question and trust that you'll follow up at an appropriate time. And with that, I will look for any other final comments or questions. Seeing none, we will call this meeting adjourned. Our next meeting is scheduled to start at 1 o'clock.